Welcome to the Home Building Hub, your essential podcast guide to building your new home. Hosted by industry experts Colin Bischoff and Darren Brennan, this conversational podcast will help better educate you about all things new home building so you can avoid costly mistakes and enjoy your building experience to the fullest, no matter which home builder you choose.
Hey guys, before we kick off on the episode, I want to introduce you to a new phase of the Home Building Hub. We have decided to go back to school, that is SKOOL. We've created a community based on the back of a podcast we've been running for so long now. We've created a community for you, for all home buyers to jump in and get access to a whole range of tools, checklists, information, and most importantly, find other home buyers in there so you can follow people's journeys, you can share your own journey, and we're excited to build the most trusted community that is independent and objective in the whole country. So get in there, it's skoolschool.com. Look up Home Building Hub, download the app, come and say hi, and we will see you in there. Hey there, folks. Welcome to the Home Building Hub. You're with Colin and co-host Darren Brennan, as always. And Dazza, today we're going to release a little bit of info, just a whisker. We have packed together 120 plus episodes and through nearly 3 years of podcasting, all into one neat little free guide for all of our listeners. And we're going to highlight, I guess, some of the features of that guide with you today and some of the top tips and things like that. You can go and get it for free. We'll explain how, but we thought, let's just give you a bit of an insight into it because, I mean, Darren, doing a podcast nearly 3 years, 120 episodes or so, that's sure to have some good gold nuggets for everyone in there, isn't it?
A lot of content in that, mate. So it's been great to see the book come together, and this really, I guess, put together a real easy way for people to guide their way through the building journey. I guess is probably the best way to describe it. So all the info's there. You can listen to 120 episodes, or and get more and more information. Or likewise, you can download a copy of the guide, and that'll really help. So, mate, it's fantastic.
No, that's good. So basically, everyone, we've got a practical, no fluff guide, which is, I'd say, a high level with some great tips, tricks, tools, and resources you can use along the way. Got some insights, etc., that basically summarizes the first 120 odd episodes of this podcast. So let's jump into, I think, what we would call the top 6 areas to give you an insight. And it's not just to promote the guide, but more so to give you some actual value when you're listening to this particular episode right now. So the first one, Daz, I'll jump into is finance. So budgeting for unforeseen, commonly missed and ongoing costs. That's one of the things we've talked about many times. And it's a section in the guide that we put, I guess, as I said, as a high level, but realistically, it's great for first-time builders, people who, I guess, want to highlight the hidden items that people tend to overlook. Because that's quite common in terms of pricing. It might be things like site costs, things that are missed, landscaping, fencing, overlapping with rent in terms of your budgeting, knowing that you've got to pay for the house that you're in, what you're renting if you're in that situation, and then you're still got to be paying for your new home loan as that house gets built as well. So these things are they're not traps, Darren, but they're things that people miss. And we want to highlight a few of those. So I think if I'm going through, sorry, Daz, go.
Saying it takes away some of the pain, and that's what this is about, is reducing the pain points along the way. So, that's exactly what you're referring to there.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think when it comes to unforeseen stuff, the 2 tips I would probably provide, number one, which we've said a lot of the time, is understand your inclusions for one, obviously. But one of the things we like to recommend is make sure you actually understand your exclusions, most importantly. Okay, so not just inclusions, understand your exclusions. Talk to your consultant about what is it that I'm getting. Fantastic, that's great, that's in the quote, but what am I not seeing? Because you don't know what you don't know. And it's really important that I think that's one of the top tips we could provide. And a lot of people don't even think to ask about that. Okay, so that's certainly one. When it comes to, I guess, commonly missed items, ongoing costs, what you want to do is you want to get yourself a budget. So we have a template for you. It's in there. You can just click it, open it, and it's a free budget template you can use. But that is, however you do it, notes, pen, on the computer, whatever it is, get yourself a budget. You've got to get that done. So get your broker, get your budget in line and your team in line. And that's probably the top two tips when it comes to those things, Daz.
For sure. And as you said, it's not just about how much is the house going to cost me, but how much is the other stuff going to cost me? Conveyance or, the rent during that time, what's not included, landscaping, fencing, etc. I might have to do afterwards, connection fees when I move in, even a removalist, all those bits and pieces that add up to the cost of building a new home. So being across those really helps you and it makes the journey more pleasant when you know about those things. So,
Yeah.
for sure. Number two, Cole, for us is choosing land. So, it's I guess really important to avoid some of those common mistakes, and we see them every single week. This section about the guide is really there to help you look at things like orientation, easements, setbacks, along with outlining six tips for you of common land. And also providing common land terms. There's a resource doc there for that. So again, we talk about in the industry different terminologies that you won't understand. You don't know what they are. And one of our listeners early days said, "Can you put together what do these things actually mean?" So we've got the resource there of land terms available for you, which is really great, and that's all part of the guide. The things to look out for, things like fill and fall on your block. And again, often when you're buying a block, you're just thinking about the rectangular shape of it. It's 12.5 by 32, but they're not telling you how much falls over that block. It's got 1.5 meters of fall. You're like, wow, that's extensive. Whereas it's as flat as a bowling green and it's got 200 mil of fall. Fantastic. But if you don't understand or aren't asking these questions, you won't know. So it'll really help guide you through that and just keep you on track. I guess, the top tip with that is don't buy a block without speaking to a building consultant first. And we always say that. Go and have a chat to them. They'll help guide you through that. The other part is check that all pegs are on site, the site's clear and clean at settlement. So when you take possession of that, it's not full of rubbish. Someone hasn't dumped crap all over it. The pegs are all there. Those things are going to save you money. So there you go.
Yep.
How about number three, Cole?
Some good little tips there. Yeah, in line with that is estate guidelines and compliance. So we have a section on that in the book. But I guess if you've got a block of land in mind and you talk to a consultant and making sure the site costs and all that stuff are all good, one of the other areas you've got to look at is what are the things that I need to build on the house or in the house as part of living in that estate. And that's what an estate guideline is. So we explain a little bit of that in a bit more detail, but it might be things like setbacks and facade requirements, materials, energy rating requirements, etc., building height, all that sort of stuff. So that's an important thing for you to understand. So if you have 3 estates you're considering of buying, then you need to know what those estate guidelines and I guess requirements are. You might be buying a block of land off an individual, off Facebook Marketplace or off realestate.com through a real estate agent. These different channels of purchasing land are all good, but they come with different risks. So wherever it is you're going to purchase that block of land, let's get that understood first, okay? So make sure you know, A, what the guidelines are to build in that estate, B, how much is it going to cost you? And only a builder consultant can confirm that for you. So it is in line with Darren's previous tip. And I just think, just go and get a quote that includes and make sure that you're checking with your builder consultant. Does it include all the guidelines? Talk to the land agent if you're buying straight from a developer. They'll give you a good understanding. They're generally providing a nice, pretty document these days, Daz, most of them. So it might be 5 or 10 pages. Some are 80, 90, 100 pages. It just depends. And there's pros and cons as to why. So an estate that has no requirements means you don't have to spend any extra money on your home. However, it's likely to bring in more investors as a result because it's cheaper. If you buy into an estate that has 50 pages of covenants and requirements to make your house look really, really pretty and cosmetically appealing from the street appeal or street front, that's actually a good thing because it's going to discourage investors from coming in and encourage owner-occupiers. So you'll be living in a street that's mainly owner-occupiers with the people with a bit more pride in their home. So it's also of benefit, but understanding what they are, really important.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, you don't want to end up with a pink house next door. So those design guidelines often prevent that going on. So,
True.
Yeah, the pink shed. We don't want one of those things. Our next one is on home design, so we don't want to be designing a pink shed for you to live in either. However, I guess the this section's about helping find the right design for you. So it provides key information about how to navigate the confusion of home designs, ranges, display homes, and so on. So it really helps you through that real nitty gritty selection stage. We've got a great resource in there, which is your needs and wants list. So you can really start to identify those absolute critical things and then things you'd like to have if you can afford it. And it's a free tool in there, so you can just download that. It's pre-filled in. Jump on and really use that resource. It's a great tool for you. I guess one of the tips we always said throughout the journey too is don't ask when you visit a display home, how much is it as displayed, right? That's a bit like going to the supermarket and saying, how much is it to buy the whole shop? Don't do that, right? Ask them, how much is it that most people spend when they build this home? Because it's likely the only time someone's going to build that home as displayed is the display home. So, it's a relevant but irrelevant question because you're never going to buy that. So don't get scared away by that, because if you hear that, the base house price is 250,000 and as displayed it's 550,000, you might walk out the front door and never build that home, which will be a shame because most people might be building a really beautiful version of that for say 350,000. So yeah, find out what the average spend is on that home, and that'll help you along the way. And that's in the book.
Yeah. Yeah, it's one of the most common over the years, isn't it, Daz? We've talked about is because we've been in that world for so long. When you do walk through a display home, they're deliberately specced up because people are after aspiration and they're after inspiration. And so if you put display homes on the ground that are underwhelming, and we've seen this in a builder we used to work at, Darren. Remember, we tested side by side. We had one high spec and one completely standard next to it. And when you walk through the high spec home and then you walk through the standard spec home, it really was underwhelming. But if you walk through that standard spec home just by itself out in a street somewhere or in a suburb somewhere, it was quite appealing. It was like, wow, these are pretty good inclusions. So it's really something that you don't want to, I guess, prejudge it. You just understand the purpose of displays to get a feel for it. What's out there, a good layout. Did I like it? Did I not? But you want to know, as Darren said, what are people spending on average when they buy this house? Because that's a really, really good way to do it. Yeah.
Great,
cool.
mate. The next one.
This one's my favorite one, Daz. So this is building quotes. So what we've done is, I guess we've talked about this a number of times, but building quotes are really confusing. So every single builder has different, I guess, wording, different structure, and that's with their base prices. Some are higher, some are lower. They have different inclusions, some have different promotions. Their site costs are varied. So it's such a minefield for you as a consumer to actually even begin to understand this stuff. Our advice is always get your consultant to get you a quote and to compare their quote with the other 2 or 3 you've got. That's the quickest way to get your answers, truth be told. But for those of you who don't trust that part of the process and you want to do it yourself, we've actually built a quote comparison tool for you. And not just one, not just 2, but there's actually 3 tabs in there, with one that's a basic quote comparison, entry level, nice and simple. It's like, just the basics on the left and the basics on the right, makes it simple. But apples to apples is the biggest concern for us, Darren, when people are building a home or comparing building quotes. They don't compare them apples to apples properly. Okay, so the next tool is an itemized quote comparison, or next tab. So that's getting into the good stuff and itemizes the actual differences between the 2 builders, their inclusions, their promotions, etc. And then my favorite is the builder versus builder comparison, which I can best describe as Mortal Kombat, but for building quotes. It's just everything on the left, everything on the right. Then you've got to account for the stuff that the builder on the left has that the other one doesn't, and vice versa. It's probably for the spreadsheet nerds, that one, I reckon, Daz, but it doesn't matter. Whatever your skill set is, there's a basic, there's a mid-level, and there's a builder versus builder option that we put in the guide for you to click and download for. But our best tip, as I said at the top, just give it to the consultants to do if you don't want to do it yourself. But if you do, we've got some info in there for you, because it's such a minefield. It's difficult to understand. And the amount of times that, the last thing I'll say on this is the amount of times that we see quotes where people think they're getting something or they don't understand what they're not getting, every single day. Like, it happens every single day. And we have to explain to the client, you do realize you're not getting all these things. Oh, no, I didn't realize that. They told me I was getting, it's back and forth. And so
all the time like that. I think the key on that, Colin, too, is if the price is 30 grand less for the same size house, you're not getting the same things.
Yeah.
It's pretty simple, right? Like you're talking about, for the most part, volume builders, unless you go to a custom build, right? If you go to a custom builder, expect to pay more, right? It will be more expensive. But what comes with that also is truthfully, probably a better finish, a better fixture, in that. So you're paying more, but if you get a custom builder, you're probably going to get a little bit nicer end product. But how much nicer? If the house is $250,000 more, has it added $250,000 worth of value to the home? I'm going to say probably not. And I've seen that before. I remember one of our friends we used to work with did exactly that with his brother, where his brother built with a volume builder, and the house next door was built by a custom builder. There's no way the 250 grand the guy next door spent more was any better. Sorry, it was a nicer house, but it wasn't a $250,000 nice house.
Yeah, right.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So if it's 20, 30 grand more cheaper, what aren't you getting? Is probably the real question. So that'll really help you in that breaking that down will really help you understand what that looks like.
Yeah, I mean, look, with volume builders, they're generally getting their procurement, so their materials, like e.g. the bricks and things like that, they're getting them from similar suppliers, not all the same, but the key to the build is your trades, the guys and the girls that are actually building the thing, and how much they're getting paid. So if you're paying 30 grand, to your example, Darren, cheaper up front, it just means that they've got less money to spend on the trades to actually construct your home. It is that simple. So don't think that you've got some bargain and some deal that you're going to have, the best house in the street, but for 30 grand cheaper than every other fool. It's just not like that. The reality is you've got X dollars in, so therefore you've got to put X dollars out to maintain a margin in your business. So please don't fall for that. It's just so, even though no one's going to listen when we say that, Darren, it's true that they'll still take the 30 grand cheaper and then, but think of it logically, please.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Now, the next one is, I guess, the tools and resources. Like, it's an absolute cracker. They're there, they're free, they're there for you to use. There's, years of experience tied up in those things. So, getting started, you've got your needs and wants analysis that we spoke about earlier. The ultimate home building guide, mainly for people building in Victoria, obviously, but you've got the finance and budgeting tools. You've got the, things like the top 5 ways to pay off your home faster. Like, it's a fantastic tool just to even just have a read through and go, can I implement some of these and knock 5 years off my home loan? It wouldn't want to be doing that, and through some of the most simplest little tips that are in there. So, jump on, check them out. They're fantastic. The tools and resources are available.
Yep. Continuing on with the tools, I've got pre-construction ones. So one of my favorites, Darren, is the Easy Investor Checklist. So if you're an investor or actually a first home buyer, there's actually a list of things you should put in your quote. And it's that simple. Take that list, get a quote for it. Done. Save your time, energy, effort, and it also keeps you constrained, as in you don't go crazy on trying to change things and do things that are just unnecessary. So Easy Investor Checklist, probably my favorite in there. And as we said before, there's some terminology resources, land terms, drawing terms, building quote terms, and also the quote comparison tool that we mentioned.
For sure. And then post-construction and handover, we've got the handover checklist template, which is, again, great if you live in Victoria, but actually really suitable no matter where you are. So we know we are somewhat Victorian-centric, but we try and make these things as broad as we can to cover off no matter where you are. You've got the moving in checklist, including setting up a new home. Again, just a great little tool there for you. Minimising foundation movements. Again, if you look at your warranty that's on your home, and all new homes come with a warranty, which is fantastic. This, generally speaking, is if you follow this guide, most builders are going to be able to, keep your warranty intact using that, so it's there for you. And you've also got the CSIRO foundation maintenance fact sheet also tied up in that. So there's a lot of information available at the click of a button. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, that about wraps it up. We hopefully given you some great insights into what's in the guide, but also just if you're listening to this episode for 20 minutes, you've got a couple of really good key pointers that you can take away just in general. If you want to jump in and get that guide or get any of those tools, you can just do that for free right now. Just go to school.com, I think it is, and then just go to Home Building Hub, just search for us and you'll find us there. And we've only got a couple of members in, it's just started, and we really want people to jump in, take advantage of the value, but really ideally want people to share their journeys with us, Darren, don't we? So give inspiration, get inspiration, and off we go.
And welcome to Sam, our very first member of the school community. So
Sam, yes, from South Australia. Already, waiting for land to title, and off they go. So cool. Excellent. Awesome. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. We really do appreciate it. Jump on, give us a 5-star review. We'd love that. And any questions, topics, as usual, homebuildinghub.com.au. And we look forward to seeing you guys on the next one.
Thanks for listening to the podcast, guys. And just our disclaimer, whilst we're all about providing value to you, this podcast should not be considered as legal or financial advice. It contains general information only, and you should seek out independent professional advice on your personal situation before making any legal or financial decisions.
1